I'm waiting on the day when it goes away and you just start seeing COVID-19 party ads.
A big topic that a lot of people are talking about is the impact of coronavirus, and it impacts so many different areas. So, wanted to have a conversation about the impact of small business owners. What are you seeing? What are kind of your thoughts there?
First of all, I just can't believe where we are. I think growing up, you kind of always thought what happens if the world shut down, and this coronavirus is shutting down the world. Like at first I thought it was just speculation and hype and kind of overreaction by the media, quote unquote fake news and all this. But then when the NBA shut down and they closed March Madness before March, I knew something was going on. There's no way that they're gonna close or shut down March Madness with all that money going on. So that's when I really started to take note, and it is really amazing to see where we are today. Now, to answer your question in regards to small businesses, what an impact. I'm almost scared for small businesses because people generally spend their disposable income out of habit, out of being out, and you go to small businesses out of those habits. But if you're in the house because you are made to be in the house, or you're in the house because out of safety and protection of your own family, then you're not in those locations where you can spend your disposable income. So it limits the amount of people that's spending money.
Yeah, I think that is something that, I think it comes to light more about small business. I remember when we did the series on small businesses and doing some of the research where you see over 50% of the U.S. population work for a small business. And I know we hear a lot about, these billionaires and these businesses. You hear about the big companies like Amazon. But it's like when you think about it, if 50% of the population work for small businesses, like if something happens to small businesses, that is a significant impact on a lot of people. And I think that the small businesses are definitely... I think we're starting to see how important small businesses are to the overall, because small businesses aren't the businesses that you see traded on the stock market. You hear a lot about those. They aren't the businesses, but when something happens to small businesses, you will start to feel the effects in your immediate community.
Yes, and the small businesses on top of the employees of the small business. Like there's so many things that are impacted by this coronavirus and COVID-19 and these mandatory quarantines that different states are enacting, that the impact is just, it's actually making me a little nervous about what happens. Like how do you overcome it? So going back to my point before, you would normally go up the road to your local, we would go to Metro Diner for breakfast kind of all the time. Oh, it's the weekend, let's go meet up at Metro Diner. Or after working out, let's go to Metro Diner, grab something to eat. And then if no one's out or going to Metro Diner, what happens to Metro Diner and the money that they need to be able to pay their rent and pay their employees or their utilities? Like, is that commercial landlord going to say, don't worry about it, I know coronavirus is going on, you don't have to pay your rent this month? And then how many months does that go on before it then becomes an issue? And then from there, what about the employees who would make their money off tips? And if you're not able to go to Metro Diner and eat, then you don't have a server, and you're not paying tips, and then that employee isn't getting any money. So
I think that becomes a scary reality when you really start to play it out, because it's like the truth is, like, small businesses are very vulnerable even when times are good. But it's like times like this, it really starts to, like, people can see the reality, like, oh man, like this is really serious. And I think that's why even after we did that series on small businesses, like shopping small business, is really being more intentional about, buying stuff from small businesses.
Yes.
Like we did an interview with the owner of a tea shop, and so like, you know, when all this was going on, we are like, hey, you know, let's go down to the tea shop and let's go buy some tea. We can make the tea at home and stuff. And it's not something I would normally just buy, because normally I just go to, let's say, a Walmart or a Food Lion, buy a box of tea, come home. But it's just like being intentional about, you know, I'm going to patronize and support these, because even talking to the owner there when I was there, she was saying, like, you know, how now is a very, very tough time with trying to get customers. And I think that that's where, you know, small business owners, definitely a big lesson is advertising to your community, is being more creative and being more proactive about really energizing the support from your community, because when stuff like this happens or whatever, you know, people aren't thinking about you as much. I mean, Walmart's selling out of stuff. I mean, Costco, Sam's Club, and most people aren't just like, oh, let me run to the support small business. But if you stay relevant in their minds, it helps you out to continue to have people come and support and patronize your business.
Yes, and I think it'd be unfair to say to the small business that, or assume that they be prepared. As you mentioned before, things are already tight during normal businesses or normal business cycle and times. But now, how do you prepare for this?
Yeah.
There's no way to have prepared for this other than there's really no way. I mean, I could even try to come up with something, but there was no way to prepare for this. And it's just, and the uncertainty of it as well, and the longevity of it as well. So I think it is an important point to make that in any opportunity you can get, go and support your small businesses.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there were some small businesses who had toilet paper, water. Like someone out there has it, but because the first thing that we run to would be the big box stores, because we think their supply is unlimited, you're ignoring or driving past a lot of other opportunities for you to be able to find what you need, as well as support the small business at the same time.
Yeah, and I think that that's where it really plays a big role if you own a small business, is being nimble to start thinking outside of the box about, you know, one of the more obvious ones, if you're a restaurant, is really start exploring, hey, delivery. Like, delivery is by state mandate for many states. You can only do takeout orders or delivery. So it's like, it's something, and even when you think about like with using DoorDash, where you may say, hey, I can't afford to hire a delivery person, where you can do a partnership with DoorDash or Uber Eats, to where you start being able to get your product to where the customers are. And I think, like I said, leveraging those type of things. And I think also, like I said, I mean, if the demand changes, let's say, for example, demand for bottled water went through the roof, or demand for filtered water went through the roof. Whereas if you're a small business and you have a filtration system on the water that comes in, is, hey, how can you package that and sell that as a product in your business? Because you got to be able to adjust.
And that's one of the things that I think is going to be one of the outcomes of this coronavirus, is it is going to change a lot of behaviors. If you imagine how DoorDash and Uber Eats and all the delivery, it was around. Pizza delivery was probably the top food delivery thing in everyone's mind, and then DoorDash and Uber Eats was getting there, but it wasn't necessarily there. This coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic and the self-quarantine is going to force people to use those services a whole lot more than what you would have used before it. And then it's going to become so comfortable that after it, you're going to be like, I'll just use it again. And that's one of the behaviors that is going to change out of it. Not to mention Amazon and all the other delivery items, and your what are the Netflix and Hulu, all the different services that you can do. So how can you provide a comfortable life in your home, and what services can you use in that meantime? Like, it's amazing what's going to happen with that.
I think also, even, I mean, because I mean, where my wife and I currently live, we live very close to a pretty big flea market, and some of the vendors there are like farmers that come and sell their produce, and you know, that was their way to get their food to their potential customers. To where I think even when you look at business models where, hey, they deliver the ingredients for your meal to your home and cook it in your home, to where I think even, let's say, a farmer, where it's not very traditional that a farmer does delivery, but it does become a bigger opportunity for them at this time, because people may not be as willing to go to the store or go to the flea market. It's just, how can you be innovative in getting your product to them, even if it is something non-traditional like a farmer or something like that?
Yes, and I've been seeing a couple articles about those things. For instance, a sandwich shop, since you cannot eat inside, they took all of their seating outside and said you can eat in a parking lot as long as the seats were like 4 to 6 feet apart. The different tables were 4 to 6 feet apart. They were selling you the food at the door to go, and then you can sit in any one of these seats outside. One, still bringing people to their door for service, and two, still allowing them to feel that comfort that we used to have, and having that place to go. And that is what what Terrell's point is being innovative in how you can still keep that activity going. It'll be sad to just say, oh, I can't do it, this is hurting my business, and give up. But how can you create, partner, think of ways of getting that product and service to people?
And I also think something with small businesses is offering gift cards, to where people may not be able to come patronize your business like right now. But if you're selling gift cards where people are buying the gift cards now, it still gives you some cash to keep your business alive, to take care of the essentials. But then it also gives them the opportunity, hey, because this won't last forever. Now, we don't know exactly how long it will last, but it won't last forever. But people can come in and patronize your business later, because if you're a business that has like an experience type business, whether it's like you're a sip and paint type business where you can't sell your business to go. I mean, the experience is had in your facility to where you can sell gift cards now, whether that's running special deals or whatever, and that people, when things settle down, and people can come in and actually utilize those gift cards later.
And I'm waiting on the day when it goes away and you just start seeing COVID-19 party ads and celebration opportunities. Because just imagine that day when it's all over and then people get to leave their homes. They're going to be looking for things to do. And if you start to come up with ideas or ways of celebrating that or offering that or making a special, you buy your gift card now and then you get the VIP seat when we have this big COVID-19 whatever party. Just think about those ways. It's unfortunate that we are in this situation, but I believe what made you a great business owner to start is what's going to make you survive throughout this pandemic, and that is being innovative and being driven to not let this defeat you.
And I think also is very, very important is, as you think about your business going forward, like how important it is for you to create a relationship with the people who patronize your business. Because at one point, you had the luxury of, hey, people are constantly coming in on their own, but actually finding ways that you can develop some type of personal connection with them, whether it's like, hey, you understand their order history so when they come in, or whether you're sending them a weekly email, a recap on, hey, the type of products you like, hey, we just got a new fresh stock in or something. Finding somewhere where you can create a community around it, whether that's through an email listing, your Facebook page or LinkedIn page, is so that people can identify like, hey, we are a part of this business, like we're customers, like this business knows me as an individual customer, because I think that's always been one of the advantages that a small business has, to where they can make people feel like, hey, this business knows me, I'm not just a number.
Yes. And I would actually be radical in the thought as well. Something that just came to mind, I actually saw it on Facebook or some part of social media, and I mean this in no disrespect, but people all in your homes, like the Jehovah Witness is just like, hey, it's time to start walking the street.
Yeah.
Because this is what they do. They walk in, they knock on the doors, and they interact with people. And I say that jokingly, but I say that as a small business owner, this is a time when you know where everyone is.
Yep.
Be radical in your idea and maybe take some business cards or a flyer or what product you sell and walk around and just hand it to people, or not necessarily to people, lay it on the doorstep and keep walking, or drop it in their mailboxes, or try to find some way of interacting with people as best as you can and get your name, your business, your face out there because you know where your market is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be an hour away or hours of the day. You could just do the small community that's around your business just so that people know who you are. But this may be a time where you have to be radical.
Yeah, and I think that brings me to something that I think about as I learn more about just the marketing side of business, to where there are some people I've had reach out to me about, hey, how do I leverage social media during this time? Because where you may say, hey, as we're practicing social distance and people are at home, when people are at home, they usually spend a lot more time online and on social media. So where if you're putting information out there about your business, about your product, whether that's creating videos or starting a podcast or just creating some type of meme related to your business, to where people are spending way more time than they usually do online and on Facebook or on LinkedIn, to where now is a great time for you to get the word out about your business. And I think even if you're open to exploring the idea of spending a few dollars, whether that's $5 or $10, to where you can create something to where you only show it to the people within a 2-mile radius of your store, because you know that they're home.
Right.
Is a greater likelihood that they're going to see it. And there are a lot of small businesses that that are in a community that people would gladly patronize. They just don't know that it's there.
Right, and I agree. I'm just thinking about some of the things or some of the other ways of being radical. And you said 2 miles of the community, man. Well, maybe not food trucks, but like the ice cream truck. Man, could you imagine when the weather changes and that ice cream truck hits the block?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a whole bunch of children that's looking to just get outside and be around, and just having that cold treat would be something of a reward. It may even be a little nostalgia as well for the parents to hear the ice cream truck coming down the block and everyone's just kind of out and about.
Yeah.
But be radical. I think it's the point that we're trying to make, and find ways of just taking advantage of this opportunity. You can let it defeat you, or you can figure out a way of getting your business out there to the face of your customers, your potential customers, or your current customers, sending out an email, telling them who you are, telling them that you're still around, telling them what product is available. You're doing delivery now, and maybe you do the delivery now. I don't know. What else you have to do? I'll just figure out a way to just not let this defeat you, because we're not sure how long it's going to go, and you want to make sure that you are still standing when it's all over.
Yeah, and I would say even as you're doing your delivery, is putting something in the delivery, let them know about, hey, the other specials that you have going on, or other products that they may not be familiar with, where it's your time to really let people know what your business offers, and like I said, do it in creative ways, because people have more time on their hands, so they're paying attention more to the different things that you're doing. Like I said, whether it's getting out in your community, knocking on doors, or sending out ads, or dropping mailers in people's mailboxes and stuff. Like, people have more time on their hands than they usually do, so they're paying attention to little things like that more. And like, if you're delivering an order, is just put a menu, not just put a menu in there, but hey, what are your specials for this week? And to put that, or if you have weekly specials, drop that in there with the order that you're delivering, and people will notice it more during this time.
Yes, agreed.
So I think that, as small business owners, is being more creative, and even as customers, is if there are small businesses in your community, get out, try to patronize. I mean, you wouldn't believe how much a little goes a long way, because even like I said, just stopping by a store, spending $5. I mean, if you imagine if 100 people do that in a day, that's a big deal for that small business.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I mean, because when you support the small businesses in your community, you not only support that business, but you support the people that it employs. And oftentimes, they're people, your neighbors, your friends, your family, they're people in your community that's actually supporting as well.